Namaste. On behalf of Chairperson Uma Chigurupati and the Empowerment Committee at Flow Hyderabad, I, Priya Gasdar, welcome you all to this afternoon's flavorful session, Cooking with Millets. All of us are aware that millets are slowly but surely claiming their position on the plate and becoming part of the diet of the health conscious, not by force, but by choice. The Flow Hyderabad Empowerment Committee is bringing this program to you as part of our endeavor to stress upon the fact that millets are definitely the future stars of the food industry. Before we go any further, let's pay salutations to our national flag. Jai Hind. Chairperson Uma Chigurupati, I will invite you to deliver your welcome address.
Thank you, Priya. A very good afternoon all. Our special guest, Chef Timaya, Chef Kunal and Ms. Sita Anand. Welcome to the program, Cooking with Millets, organized from the Empowerment Vertical of Flow Hyderabad chapter. Millets are the superfoods and are the powerhouse of rich nutrients packed with energy and are called as nutri-cereals. Millets are taking their position on the plate and becoming part of the diet of health-conscious people, not by force, but by choice. The demand for millets-based products is increasing in the urban areas and thus creating ample opportunities for the new market entrants, entrepreneurs. India is the largest producer of millets and 9 types of millets are grown here. We are exporting millets to countries like Austria, Philippines, Indonesia, New Zealand, and so on. It counts to around $25 million of business and it is fast growing. In the domestic markets also, the demand is increasing because of the health benefits they are carrying. Millets are unique in many ways. They are gluten-free, contains a good profile of micronutrients, does not contain trans fats, rich in dietary fiber and protein, works as prebiotics, alkaline in nature, contain balanced amino profile, and so on. Other than food industry, they are also used in pharmaceutical industry. Environmental conscious people are also tend to grow and consume millets because of the benefits these crops have on the environment. They are good for the farmers as they are suitable for dryland farming and requires less agricultural inputs and can sustain drought. They are good for the planet as they are climate resilient crops. Most of you know Flow Hyderabad has collaborated with NutriHub, the business incubator at Indian Institute of Millet Research Hyderabad, to provide access to incubation facilities, mentorship, networking, and more to our member entrepreneurs who are aspiring to be or already are in the business of millets. With the demands for millet-based products increasing, ample opportunities are being presented to the entrepreneurs, be it setting up processing units, manufacturing value-added products, supply of seeds, aggregation, that is in the supply chain, packing, bakery, hotel industry, that means setting up a restaurant or exports. Today's session will introduce us to some delightful ways of including millets in our daily diet plan. Thank you, Chef P.K. Timaya, for joining us here this afternoon and to Sita Anand for agreeing to moderate this session. Before we start the session, I'd like to mention about the recent boot camp and micro accelerator program that we organized in collaboration with CIA at IIIT It was attended by 7 of our members who were immensely happy with the learning and value they acquired from it. I would like to invite Shilpa Raju, one of the participants, to share with us her learnings and views. And I hope her experience will encourage more participation in the incubation and mentorship cohorts being conducted in collaboration with our knowledge partners like IIT, IIIT, and WeHub. We are facilitating for you. So thank you. Over to you, Shilpa.
Thank you, Magaru. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences. Good afternoon to everyone present here today. I'd like to start by thanking and congratulating Uma, Radha, Priya, and the entire empowerment team for curating such wonderful and useful programs to help all of us gain knowledge and expert guidance which will benefit our professional careers. I can honestly say that this year at Flow, I benefited the most from the startup programs. Though there were programs in the past, I was a bit intimidated. I was never quite sure if my ideas and projects were appropriate for those platforms. This year, however, Uma, Priya, and the entire team made me feel comfortable by having one on one interviews with us members, be it for the mentoring or the incubators. They really took the time to understand our needs and asks. Then they started working towards the programs which met our requirements. There were many times when they personally called us to encourage us to attend certain programs. And this personal care and interest gave me a lot of confidence. So with this, I enrolled in the CIE IIIT Idea Validation Bootcamp with my startup idea. Actually, I had been working on this idea for over a year now, but somewhere I was a bit stuck and I didn't know how to take it forward and get into the market. But this bootcamp and especially the one-on-one micro accelerator sessions with a startup investor really helped me overcome that challenge. Today, after the program, we're already pitching our idea to investors and we're in the process of negotiating terms of investment to start our project. I am really grateful that I participated in this bootcamp as well as all the other empowerment programs because they train my mind to think out of the box and always look out for new ideas. Even the IMR session about opportunities in millets. Initially, I thought this may not be relevant for me, but when I attended this session, I gained so much knowledge, which actually opened up a lot of avenues for new business ideas. And I'm looking forward to exploring more about them as well. I would strongly encourage each and every one of you to enroll and attend programs being conducted by the empowerment team, be it the incubation, the mentoring, or sessions like the one being conducted today. Because each one of them is an opportunity to take away something which will be helpful to you on your entrepreneurial journey, be it a brand new idea or in your existing business. Thank you so much. I'd now like to hand it over to Priya to introduce our speaker. Thanks, Priya.
Thank you so much, Shilpa, for sharing with us. And I'm sure more members will come forward and utilize this opportunity to take forward their businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magaru.
Thank you, Ma, and thank you, Shilpa, for all those sharing your learnings actually. And your words will be such a great encouragement to all our, members who are in two minds whether to take up the bootcamp, whether to take up the long-term program with WeHub. These experiences of yours, personal experiences, will really help them make up their minds, I hope. And we are all always here for you. Like Shilpa said, we are here 24/7. Any point of time, you can call any of us, Radha, Sarita, myself, Neha, Sudha, Mahati, all of us are here for you. With that, let me now introduce our chief speaker for the day, Chef P.K. Timmaiah. He's a qualified chef and consultant with a professional diploma in hotel management from IHM Chennai, an associate certified degree from Culinary Institute of America, New York. He started his career with Taj and Ashoka Group of Hotels, post which he started teaching at IHM Chennai, a journey that continued for 25 years and led him to serve as head of the Department of Food Production in the same place. He then joined Dolphin Hotels Ramoji Group as consultant in 2005. He has designed and built all their hotels, Sitara, Tara, Sahara, and Dolphin, including 7 restaurants, a central commissary kitchen, an ice cream plant, and Culinary and Snack Research Kitchen for Priya Food. He was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award by Indian Federation of Culinary Associations. He's a fitness enthusiast and has participated in Wipro 10K Chennai Marathon 6 times. We must indeed ask him if millets are the secret behind his stamina and endurance. And then Uma should corroborate on that. I will now hand you over to Khushbu Baid to introduce our moderator for the day, Sita.
Thank you, Priya. Ms. Sita Anand Vaidyam works in the areas of early childhood, remedial therapy, sustainable living, and holistic wellness. Through her brainchild, Ananda Foundation, she works with children with learning difficulties and in the space of health, environment, social impact, and education in general. She consults in Hyderabad and freelances across India, Nepal, and Dubai. Sita has authored Good Food, a guide to right cooking and eating, which has sold 3 editions. Her articles on education, lifestyle, and sustainability appear regularly in leading Indian newspapers and magazines. For her many contributions, Sita has received awards from Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs, Beyond Pink, a Niti Aayog undertaking, TSIG, Government of Telangana, and many others. Thank you. Over to you, Priya.
Thank you, Khushbu. As always, audience, we'll be taking up the Q&A at the end of the session. So please leave your questions for our speakers in the chat box. And with that, over to Sita and the RFC team.
Namaste, everyone. And it's a great pleasure to moderate this session on millets. And the welcome address and the introduction by Uma Garu was so elaborate and comprehensive that she's actually covered quite a lot about the benefits of millets. I'll just try to add a little more. And I'm really excited to be moderating the session with Chef Timaya. He's so qualified, and my initial interaction with him has already quite impressive that he has so much knowledge. So I hope to bring all that out through this session. Now, millets we think are a new trend, right? It's a new thing. No, these are very ancient grains that have been cultivated in our country for so many centuries. In fact, the Skanda Puranam, it mentions a lot about certain millets, especially the foxtail millet, which in local language we call koralu. And one of the preferred Naivedyam for Kartikeya Bhagwan is tinai or koralu or foxtail millet. And these millets, they're ancient grains, but why is it important for us to consume them? Obviously, we'll be discussing during the course of this session about the health benefits that each of us will have by consuming these. And we're also going to make it clear what time to consume and in what quantity to consume. These are definitely to be borne in mind, and we will cover all this. But also, like it was mentioned earlier, that millet cultivation is very important today because we have only one planet to live in, and the resources in this planet are getting depleted, especially water. Did you know that rice cultivation, just to cultivate 1 kg of rice, 4,000 to 5,000 liters of water are consumed? And also the amount of pesticides and fertilizers that go into, to produce rice is huge, wheat and rice. So millets are definitely a better alternative. They will drastically reduce the consumption of water because they are dryland cereals. These grains are grown in dry lands. And if you see the diet of people in Rajasthan, in interior parts of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and even in Telangana, it's predominantly millet, these millets that are part of the diet, and rightly so. And not only that, pesticides and fertilizers, we don't need to use them while cultivating millets because they're very sturdy, they're very strong grains which can withstand pests, and they don't need any fertilizers to grow. They're very, very strong by themselves. Obviously, when they are so, when we consume them, it definitely brings strength in our body. So, welcome, Chef, and can we start? Timaya Garu and Kunal, can we start? So, would you like to say some opening words?
I thank you all for giving us the opportunity to demonstrate to you about millets. I think if I talk about millets, it will be too much of, because already two people have given enough dose of what is millets. So let us now start directly cooking and then see what is good for you in cooking millets and eating every day. Now today we are going to demonstrate to you 4 dishes. First one is the Italian spiced peppers with quinoa or foxtail, whatever you can use. Today we are using quinoa. So the Italian spiced peppers. So what we are going to use is the green pepper, the red pepper, and the yellow pepper. The 3 peppers we are going to use, and the quinoa we are going to use that. And when we say Italian spices, all of you must be knowing that it is nothing but chili flakes, thyme, and oregano. Those 3 are the basic Italian spices which is used in any of the dishes what we prepare for Italian dishes. So now we have to cut the peppers into thin strips like juliennes. All of you must be knowing juliennes, I think so. Or else at the end of the session, I will demonstrate to you how to cut juliennes. And we have chopped the coriander leaves, chopped garlic, and we have chili flakes, we have thyme, we have oregano, and we have, this is quinoa. So I'll have to show it to you. This is chopped garlic, chopped coriander leaves, chili flakes, oregano, thyme, and freshly crushed pepper. And this quinoa we have already boiled. For any millet, I would like to tell you that before cooking any millet, you will have to soak the millet for minimum to 6 to 8 hours. I suggest you soak 8 to 10 hours. Because as they said, it doesn't require water while it is cultivated. So because of that, we'll have to, if you want to get a good yield and good tasty millet in your preparation, better you soak it for 8 to 10 hours. Wash the millet thoroughly, soak it. Then wash it, rinse it again. Then you go ahead, whatever preparation you are going to do. So these millets, what we are using today, has been soaked for 8 to 10 hours previously, and they have been cooked and it kept ready for us to demonstrate. That is first thing about millets. Now, shall we go to the preparation of this Italian green pepper, spiced green peppers and quinoa? We are going there now. Chef Kunal, my colleague, will start doing this.
So first we have to take oil, a very little quantity as per the portion. Let it heat up.
Oil, I think all of you will be taking less oil now that you have now come to millets. As she said, millets, before I used to see millets in supermarket in one rack at the end of the supermarket. Now it has come to the front of the supermarket and there are 2-3 shelves of millets are there and all organic products are there. So it is now taking up. As she said, it is not something new. It was there and it is coming. It is only a cycle. Now we have come back to millets, and millets are the in thing. And I think we should take it up. All of you should follow that also and give it to your children too. So heat the oil. Add the chopped garlic. Garlic, chop it fine. Remove the skin. Chop it absolutely fine so that the oil is flavored with the garlic. Toss it. I can get the aroma now, but I don't think so you will get the aroma. You should have a live demo to get the aroma. I am getting good aroma of the garlic. So the people are standing around here. So chop the garlic. Now add the peppers to that. Keep sauteing. Keep sauteing. I think all of you can see this. Yeah. Keep sauteing. Don't saute too much. The pepper should be crisp. Or else if it is very limpy, then you won't enjoy eating it. Now add the spices. Freshly ground pepper is always advised. It gives better taste and aroma to your dish. Do not use that already ground and bottled or canned ones. Chili flakes. Little bit of salt. And now add the boiled quinoa.
Chef, can you just mention that while boiling quinoa or foxtail millet, what is the water proportion that you use for 1 cup of foxtail millet, or what is the
proportion? Yeah, water proportion. If you are going to do a straining method, please use 15 times of water. For rice, we use 10 times. Suppose 1 kg rice, we use 10 kgs of rice. But for this millets, minimum is 15 times. If it is a very good millet, it requires 17 to 18 times water also. That has got real good thing. Yes?
I think it will be better if you tell them cup-wise, because you're talking about whole,
okay.
Large scale.
Okay, cup-wise, if you are using 1 cup, you have to use minimum of 15 cups. 15 cups of water. So that then only it will get cooked properly, and it requires that much quantity to do it. Or else, if that is first draining method. If you are going to have absorption method, then you have to use 3.5 times. Yes. For a rice, we use 1.5 times. For this quinoa, you have to use 3.5 times of water. Yeah. That is absorption method. That you are going to put it in, make it into a pulao or whatever you made in khichdi, whatever that. But if you are going to drain it, that should be 15 times of water. I think I am clear now. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you, Chef. Yes.
This dish is simple, and it can be as a warm salad as well as a vegetable dish. You can make it into a warm salad. Salads, it is not that salads are only cold. Yes. There are warm salads. So this can be used as a warm salad if you use more vegetables and less quinoa. And if you use more quinoa and less vegetables, you make it into a dish of a vegetable.
I would just like to mention here that Chef mentioned about warm salads. Actually, it's a very good idea to combine salads along with your cooked food for better digestion, and in fact, even to improve your metabolism, and to include raw vegetables along with your cooked food is actually the trick to good health and quick digestion. Yeah, I just wanted to add this bit. That looks wonderful, Chef. That really looks wonderful.
But you should all be here to taste it. I would like to give it to you for tasting it. You people are not here. You should be here. You should taste it, and you can see how it is as a warm salad. And if you want, you can make it as a vegetable dish too. You can add more vegetables. You can add some more vegetable Italian spice. Something you can do. Then you can do this dish.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure that one day everybody will be inspired to just come and taste from your hands. Yeah, I just want, Santosh, can we have the slides of the recipe, please? So that members can take a screenshot if required of the recipe, please. I just have one question, Chef. You did mention important to soak the millets, and you did mention about it in the beginning, but just so that all the members are clear that how important it is. So why is it important to soak? Because some days we might think, it gets cooked. Even if I don't soak, it gets cooked, and suppose I'm in a hurry, I do it. Now, what are the harms of not soaking? Can you please tell us?
No, if you don't soak it, the cooking time takes a longer time, and also you will have digestive problems, and you will have constipation. All these types of problems are there because of this. First, I think I forgot to tell you, please don't eat millets for dinner. It is only for either breakfast or lunch. Yes. Do not take it after 5 o'clock. That's not advised, because it requires time for digestion. Because you should, and you should take in small quantities. Suppose why it is replacing rice and dal. because you'll have to eat less quantity. You cannot eat more quantity, and you don't feel hungry after some time. If you eat rice, same quantity of rice, after 1.5 hours or 2 hours, you will feel hungry. But eating millet, the same quantity, you will not have hunger. You will not have the urge to eat some snacks. That in between snacks, that urge won't be there. You will not go on to that. So just this half, if you are taking 300 grams of rice, for example, I'm saying, if you are taking 300 grams of rice, if you take about 150 or 170 grams of this millet with enough of vegetables, that is sufficient for you for a meal. That is what is the thing. So it is, the water is required, because while growing only, it has not taken much of moisture. So here, while soaking and while cooking, you have to give enough of moisture to that, so that it can absorb all, go into the body and act according to what we are expecting it. What she said, that it is very nutritive, it doesn't lowers the fat, and it helps in diabetes, and it has so many nutrients. All those things will happen only if you soak it and cook it according to whatever specification we tell, then only it will have the benefits.
Yeah. So before you clear up things and go on to the next recipe, I just wanted to reiterate one fact about soaking millets and preferably even sprouting them. I just want to add this, that all these grains, they have an anti-nutritive cover. Okay. They are basically seeds. What is the objective of a seed? Can someone tell me what is the objective of a seed?
Multiplication.
To germinate, exactly. So when it is in the seed form, you don't see anything happening, any growth, nothing happening. So for a seed to grow, for a seed to germinate, it needs to be soaked. Only then it releases its nutrition. Sprouting is nothing but a release of its, its potency. What is potent inside is getting released. For that, soaking is very important. Without soaking, the anti-nutritive cover, which is actually harmful for us, remains. So it is extremely difficult to digest. In the name of including millets, please do not include them without soaking them. It will lead to a lot of health problems, because many people say, people recommended millets, but I ate them and I started having this problem, that problem. That's because you haven't eaten it in the right way, because they are difficult to digest and they need to be consumed only in a limited quantity. And they also can tend to leave your skin and your scalp dry if you consume too much. So by and large, grain consumption by human beings is to be very limited. We need to consume more of fruits and vegetables, but these are ideal grains more than wheat and rice. Are we ready for the next recipe, Chef?
Yes, ma'am. We are ready.
Yeah. So shall we all move on from this recipe? Can we move on? Someone can give me. Yeah.
Because the question answer is going to be at the end, I understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then it's next. So the second dish that what we are going to demonstrate to you today is little millet tikki. Little millet, what you call as bajra. That is the smaller one. Samalu.
Samalu, yeah.
Samalu, yeah. So we are going to make a tikki with that. Okay. Now you can see the raw version of the little millet. Amchur powder, chopped green chilies, finely chopped ginger, finely chopped coriander leaves, and boiled mashed potatoes. And nicely soaked for 8 to 10 hours and cooked for a little millet. Okay. So these are the ingredients which are required to make this little millet tikki. Now, if you are not your aversion towards potato, you can go for boiled raw bananas also. You can go if you are interested in. If some people say no potato, no for me, I don't want. No, you can go for raw banana, boil it and mash it. You can also use that. There is an alternative for that. Now, first you'll have to make the tikki. This is the potato, mashed potato, and I am taking the little millet. So mix it thoroughly. Now you have to add some chopped chilies, chopped ginger, amchur powder, and some salt. Coriander leaves. In Andhra, here they eat very spicy food, so I'm adding little more chilies. My fingers are clean, so I better to mash it up thoroughly. Mix the potatoes and the millets and the chilies and the chopped ginger and the amchur powder. You can make this mixture and keep it in the fridge, and you can take it out half an hour or 45 minutes before and just make it into patties and then fry it and use it also hot. It's not that you have to do fresh and you have to do. I'm not adding any binding agent. You must have seen in cutlet, they'll add egg yolk or they'll add maida flour, anything. There is no binding agent required because millet and potato, they'll bind on their own. So make it into medium-sized balls like this and keep it ready. That's some maida flour.
Chef, we also get millet flour. So can we also dust if required?
Millet flour also you can dust, yes, but it has to be sieved 2-3 times.
Yeah, just
you have to sieve it. You have to sieve it 2-3 times, or because it is slightly coarse and it tends to get burnt while you're frying. So better it is fine, and then it gives a.
The reason I'm asking is some of us may be strictly gluten-free. So
yeah, okay. You can use, but the only thing you strain it 2-3 times in fine sieve. So then there will be no problem about that. If you want, you can make it tikki. If you want, you can make a cutlet shape also. You can make heart shape cutlets. Hot. Make it hot. For a few 2 minutes, then you tell it.
I think this dish is definitely something everybody would like to eat during this weather.
That's what I'm saying. No, you can make the mixture and keep it. It does not get spoiled. You keep it in the fridge. Just take it about half an hour before. Just shape it and fry it, and you can utilize it.
And you also can add some vegetables, some more vegetables to this, chef. You can also add.
Yeah, you can add, but finally chop it fine. And if you put it raw, then it takes nothing. Just you saute it a little bit and then add it to that.
Yeah.
Here, it is not like the regular cutlets where we use only potatoes and whatever vegetables. Here, you have to do it on a slow fire for a longer time because millets, like how it takes 3 whistles, 4 whistles to cook in a cooker, where if you cook rice, 1 or 2 whistles is enough. So this takes little more time. You have to cook it for a little more time for it to become crispy and nice. Or else it will be just like a paste.
Chef, there is one question that what are other millets you can use to make cutlets?
No, you can use the other millets also. There's nothing wrong in that. We have chosen this little millet because next is a pearl millet. We want one millet. We can use, but this little millet is more preferred because it's more of starch and closer to this thing, regular thing. Others also you can do. Then you have to add little more of potato in that, or you must add a little bit binding agent. If you are not a vegetarian, then you can add egg yolks. If you are a vegetarian, then as you said, you can go for millet powder itself as binding agent. But don't use corn flour. Corn flour will make it very tight and it will be rubbery. It makes it that way.
Right. Sure. Thank you, chef.
So we have, along with this, we have a mint sauce. I think mint sauce is, all of you must be seen mint sauce. We have mint and we have yogurt. You have to hang the yogurt. We don't want the whey water in the yogurt. That has to be completely removed. Then only the sauce will be really like a mayonnaise. Nowadays, everybody enjoys mayonnaise. Everybody wants it. So to bring that consistency, hang the yogurt nicely and make it really thick. So that you put green chilies and you put mint leaves, coriander leaves, and all those things, and you put it in the mixie and take it out. You get a fresh mint sauce, and along with this crisply fried tikkis, that will give you a good taste. Though we have cooked both millet and the potatoes, you can observe that it is still taking time to become golden brown. That is because of the millet. Millet doesn't become thing. If it was just potatoes and if you had put some vegetable, if you have put a vegetable cutlet now, it would have become golden brown in no time in this temperature of oil. But if you can see that, because it is a millet, we have got 70% millet and 30% potatoes, mashed potatoes. So it will take some time to get golden brown. So slow fire, you shallow fry it, and then.
Yeah, I think there's some wrong information in the chat box. Please wait. Little millet is not bajra. It is samvat ke chawal, I think they call it. It's used a lot during vrats.
It says they call thoda bajra.
It's not bajra. Bajra is not sajjalu. Sajjalu is bajra. Sama rice.
Okay.
Sama biyam, it's called, or samvat ke chawal. That's what it is in Hindi.
Sawa. Or it is also called as sawa. It's in Kunal says he's from his place. They say sawa.
Sawa. So which place are you from, Kunal?
Hi, good evening. I'm from UP. So basically in fasting time, they eat sawa rice.
Yes.
So they make tikkis or some rice kind of preparation with some vegetables, and they eat on means fasting time.
Right. Yeah. So during Vrat, you need a release of energy in the body, and that is why they consume these millets, because it will help you to sustain the whole day through the fasting period. So, Sama is extremely good millet to be used.
Okay.
Yeah. While on this, I just also wanted to mention, see, biodiversity is something very important that we need to encourage as consumers. So only when we consume, things will be produced, isn't it? As the demand is, so the supply is. And so it's very important that as consumers, we go in more and more for more different kinds of millets. And when we travel abroad, they ask us, do you want millet? And I always ask, which millet? And in foreign countries, the diversity has reduced so much so that for them, millet is just one. And we have such a variety, and it's not just 9 millets, we have much more. And when I was doing my research for before writing my book on food, I came to know that we had 450 varieties, most of which are extinct now. 450, can you believe it? And
9 millets, I would like to interrupt here. These 9 millets are mainly for business point of view, is what I said.
Yeah.
This is a startup program.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs to know, that is why the 9 millets are very important, because all the others are like less known.
Yeah, and also these more than this 9, they're not even available. See what you mentioned. You're very right in what you mentioned. I'm saying we don't even know most of these millets. And when you go to tribal areas, they show you something which is absolutely unknown to us in the general market. We don't even know. I'm just saying that this is the biodiversity that we have lost. And why is it important to preserve biodiversity? It is only through the preservation of this can we combat germs, the harmful germs. It's, these completely diverse vegetation, they will, deal with certain harmful germs on their own, and we don't have to interfere by way of pesticides. So biodiversity does much more than what meets the eye. Can we have the slide of the recipe, please?
The tikkis are looking very interesting. I think first Pranay should give a close-up of those tikkis. They are looking very yum.
They do.
Sorry, yes, tipped.
No problem. We understood that. They look really delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, chef. Is that okay, ladies?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Let's just play the slides and then.
Yeah, sure. So that people can take a screenshot if they want.
We will also be posting in the group that you joined in. Please don't leave the group.
Yeah, we can go to the next one.
Okay. The next is the pearl millet khichdi. The main course, a khichdi made from pearl millet. Of course, some vegetables will be there. Bajra. Yeah, bajra. Now you are told, that's bajra. Okay.
So
right.
Bajra is actually a winter millet. We must make note of this. This is really ideal for consumption during winter. So millets are also to be consumed according to the weather. So Bajra is something that is exclusively to be consumed during winter because it really produces heat, the required heat in the body. So what are you making? Bajra, you're making a bajra khichdi.
Khichdi. Yes. So the ingredients are bajra, moong dal, and the vegetables are peas, carrots, beans. Peas, shelled peas, carrots cut into macedon, and also beans. These are the three vegetables which are going to be combined with the ingredients. And the thing is, the spices are chopped ginger, green chilies. This is ghee at the end. So yes, Kunal is very, this thing, he has given enough ghee. And this is jeera, curry leaves, chopped onion, chopped tomatoes, mustard seeds, curry powder, hing, asafoetida, turmeric powder. These are the ingredients for this. For this khichdi, first we'll have to broil it. That is, without oil, we'll have to put the bajra into the pan and you have to broil it till it becomes a little hard and it has to become really hot. So that we have to, it cannot get, it's already this thing because we're not going to soak here. So then that's why we have to toss it for some time, broiling, boiling, broiling. Broiling is without oil, but on dry saucepan or frying pan. That is called broiling. So we'll be doing that now. Right.
So here we will be adding bajra.
No.
It takes around 8 to 10 minutes just on a medium flame and keep it stirring so that it won't get burned. You will hear a cracking sound when it's ready, like other spices and all when we do at home.
Just like how the mustard seed crackles. But this will take time.
Around 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It takes. So anyhow, I had a roasted one earlier.
Already we have roasted and kept because we don't want to
it will take 10 minutes. Again, the dal will take 2 to 3 minutes.
2 to 3 minutes. So
we have kept the roasted one. So we will continue with that roasted one further.
Yeah. Just like increase the heat.
Now add some oil, or you can take ghee also as per your preference.
Here I would like to say something. First you'll have to heat the pan. Then you have to add the oil. Please don't add oil to which is a pan which is not heated up. So it takes longer time and it is also not so this thing. Without we will not have the patience. We think we already added oil long time back. We add, then that is where the mustard seeds don't crackle. It doesn't get out the enough, give out the enough spices to that. So heat the pan, then add the oil always. Don't directly keep the pan and add the oil. That is the wrong way of cooking. Oil is hot?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. Ensure that the oil is hot. You should have kept it heating up.
So, chef,
Yes.
you're roasting this bajra. So, in this recipe, you have not soaked it, is it? You've soaked.
Yeah,
this.
we are not soaked. We are not soaked.
So, I just have a suggestion here. Even this, you can actually soak and make.
Yeah,
which is definitely more nutritious. One more beautiful thing about bajra is it will also sprout. It also sprouts, which adds to the nutrition.
Thing, yeah. So, that is
actually most of the millet that we have in India, they sprout. So long as they've not been processed. So if the cover is not been removed industrially, they have that cover which enables sprouting. So bajra is something that you can soak, sprout, and then cook.
Then continue the cooking. You need have to broil or anything. Directly, whatever you cook, you can just temper it and add the vegetables for cook. That also we can do. That method is also possible.
Yeah, because at the outset we have told everybody that it's very important.
That is true. I agree with you. I want to tell at the end that this, if you are not eating, you do this way also.
Yes.
So first add the mustard seeds. You can hear the crackling noise. Then add the jeera. Chili.
Then we will add some chilies. Curry leaves. And then we will be adding our vegetables. First carrot, and let it be for 2 to 3 minutes.
Because it takes longer time to cook carrot. So just give it a saute for 2 minutes extra for that to get the heat. Then you can add the green peas and the beans.
Now we will be adding beans and green peas. You can add other vegetables also, like in winter season, cauliflower and many more green vegetables are easily available. So you can add those vegetables also to your khichdi to give it a more nutritive value and to color, to give a nice color to the khichdi. So just saute it for 2 to 3 minutes. No need to cook it more, because anyhow bajra takes more time. Because it's not the soaked one, it's lightly roasted one.
Actually, in South India, bajra is definitely given to the cows. It's a very ideal fodder, and I have seen it always being fed to cows. Sesame and bajra, they're definitely always given to cows. And one other thing to be borne in mind while consuming bajra is to have copious amounts of fat along with it.
That's why we are having so much of ghee.
Yes, I noticed that. Very generously he's kept, Kunal has kept. Yes.
So then we will add little tomatoes and onions
to that.
So when we consume fat along with such grains, then there is a purpose for the fat and it will not remain in your body. Whereas easily digestible grains, when you have fat along with them, that's what stays back in your body. Does it make sense to all of you? Like, it's very important. See, this is difficult to digest. So we need it. We need that fat along with it.
Let her finish.
Yeah.
Now we are adding turmeric, curry powder, asafoetida,
and salt. So now you can see your onions has become translucent. It means don't make it brown.
Yeah,
just lightly let it get cooked, and then you can add your dal and bajra. Take half the quantity of dal. You can increase it also, because here what happens when we roast, it don't releases that much of gluten. They will remain like a pearl only. So the gluten remains intact and the dal gives the consistency of your khichdi. The base will be because of the dal only. That's why we are taking the moong dal. It gives you a smooth texture. Now you can add plenty of water. Salt. And now it will take, keep it on a slow flame for around 30 minutes. So what I had done, I have already made this khichdi earlier because we don't have that much of time to keep it for 30 minutes on a moderate heat. So once your khichdi is done, you need to make a tempering for that. Normally in winter season, everyone likes to have nice tempered khichdi. For tempering, you can take anything, whether it will be onion or only curry leaves, chili, that you can choose. Take little oil, or you can take ghee, whatever you want.
Priya, I just have one question. So there are a lot of questions coming up in the chat. So we take all this at the end, or?
I think that's better.
Yes.
Or in between, if you feel that we could do a filler and chef is doing something, we can use the time. You can use accordingly.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. So there is a question, chef. That
yes, tell me.
Is it 5 times water? Is 5 times water okay for cooking this?
No. If it is, I told you, it is a draining method. If you're going to drain the water like how you do it, it should be 15 times. Or else it becomes sticky and it becomes. Because for rice, we use 8 to 10 times. Because of millet, it is suggested to have 15 times so that you don't get into a mashed one. For if you're going to go absorption method, that is making a pulao or everything, then 3 to 3.5 times. Depends upon the millet. Some millets are really quality goods, like how new rice and old rice. If it is a new rice, you use less water. If it is an old rice, you have to use little more water where you get more yield. So like that, it is 3 to 3.5 times. Depends upon the millet.
Yeah, actually, when you soak and sprout, they tend to cook faster.
Yes, that's true.
So,
then if you have soaked for a longer time, reduce that this thing to 2.5 or 2 3/4, whatever. That depends upon what call you are taking or how long you are soaking. Suppose you have forgotten to soak and you are soaking only 6 hours, then it requires a little more water. If you are soaked for a longer time, less water. Like that, you have to decide and take a call on case by case.
So also, if you notice, most of our traditional cooking, the tempering is done at the end.
Yes.
Actually, very less oil was used. So that itself is an excellent method by which we can become healthier. See, the more you heat oil, that turns into trans fat. Except ghee is the only form of fat which doesn't become trans fat on heating. But all other oil, all other fats that we heat turn into trans fat, which lead to so many health problems, not just cholesterol.
Okay.
Could also lead to cancerous. They're cancerous, some of these trans fats. So when we do the tempering at the end, like how chef has beautifully done, I think it will take care of that problem. And this also really looks very inviting. I think we should have a close-up of
your khichdi.
How nice.
With a nice tempering, with some mango pickle and curd. And you can add papad or whatever you want.
That is crunchy things we don't put here. If you want, you can add it.
See, these should become comfort foods for which we have to condition our children.
That's true.
You know, they should become comfort foods. And when I say bajra khichdi, the mouth should water for the children. We should get there.
He has added enough of ghee that aroma itself is filling this whole room here.
I'm sure. I think this is so good. Yeah, someone has mentioned that you can use cloves, ilaichi, dalchini for tempering. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Actually, when I make, I actually add one of those allspice leaf. Most of us have gardens here. I can so we can grow these trees or even small plants, even in your balcony. So you just take that fresh one leaf, can give you so much aroma, and bay leaf actually helps a lot in digestion. So just one little bay leaf will also give a lot of flavor, and it's good. This is
when you add this garam masala and ginger garlic, and you remove the moong dal from that, it becomes a millet biryani then.
Yes.
It becomes a millet biryani.
Correct.
You have to add sauteed onions, add ginger garlic paste, add tomatoes, remove the moong dal alone, and you added carrot beans, it becomes vegetable millet biryani then. That we thought we should show you next time, but somebody has already prompted now.
Yes. Thank you, Chef. That was a quick variation that you gave us.
Yeah.
Yes, Umagaru. Many of us are hungry. True. See, food is something that should make us hungry. So beautiful. When Umagaru said, when you see food, the digestion, do you know where the digestion actually begins? It begins in the mouth. When you salivate, when you really, that is so basic for digestion. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sita. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Digest. Yeah, sorry, Chef. You're cross-talking.
Sorry, you are saying mouth. No, first eyes. Eyes look at the food. That's where it starts.
So good.
Then
so
only
only
saliva comes to your this thing.
Correct.
Eyes conveys the message. Oh, this looks very delicious, and I have to take it. That impulse. Then your saliva secretes, and then your hand goes into your pocket and take the purse and go to the counter and buy the dish. That is what is happening. Okay, so first is the eyes. So what you are present, you saw how it is, then how it comes. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No. Very correct interruption, Chef, and I'm glad you interrupted.
I'm sorry.
Correct? And also the aroma, the aroma, the senses play a big role in digestion, which we don't realize. That's why these store-bought, long shelf life food, actually we can't digest. There's not enough freshness in them. So this was wonderful. Can we have the slides for the recipe for this, Chef?
Sita, since we are on this, somebody has asked, can bajra khichdi be eaten for dinner?
So Chef mentioned that don't eat them during dinner and eat it only. So Chef, would you want to answer this? Or
No. See, it is recommended not to take during dinner time because it takes longer time. I told you, once you eat, it stays for a longer time, minimum 5 to 6 hours. It's there. If you eat at 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you don't feel hunger at all. So you eat at 7 o'clock, then you have to wait for it to digest. Suddenly you watch TV and you want to lie down. That is not recommended. That is not advised. That is why I always tell, that is my personal opinion. I am not saying this is the rule. But I suggest to my people who are telling, don't take it after 5 o'clock. Because you will be sleeping only at 8 or 10. So that is all right. But after dinner, I don't recommend.
Yeah. I just have one point to add to what he said. See, dinner should ideally be had early. That is number one. It should be had by 6:30. That's the ideal time in villages. That's how they have dinner very early, traditionally. Secondly, when you soak and sprout millet, then they become easier. So a lot of times bajra khichdi in Rajasthan is had for dinner, but please remember, they don't eat at 10 or 11 like that, like us in a party. They don't have so late. They eat dinner early, and also they always soak and sprout the millet, which makes digestion much easier. It makes it much easier, but definitely not to have it continuously for is our advice. Yes, somebody has spoken about a yogurt-based drink. So I think it is Ambali. Ambali. It's there in every state in India. Millet is used as a fermented drink, most by the farming communities. Definitely by all the communities that use a lot of labor, physical labor. So for them, why is this drink universally all across India? Why is it being used? Is because it's very rich in probiotic. Thank you for that, Suneja, I think is who has asked that question. Thank you for that, because it's very important to include probiotic, but we need not buy a store-bought, probiotic. But when along with millet, when it is fermented, when it is left overnight, it produces excellent probiotic. And especially during this Corona time, we all need to pay attention to the amount of probiotic that we are having, because these good bacteria are what are going to fight it can be one variant or 100 variants that are going to come. So we can only strengthen our body. We don't understand too much about what is happening outside. But when we consume, adequate amounts of probiotic, that will guard us, that will improve our immunity. So
that's why now I know why this in the supermarket, this Yakult probiotic are missing. So many people have taken that out. Okay.
So that is so loaded with sugar, and I just wince every time I see it.
I know. That's true.
I think just overnight, add some soaked. May I mention this? I don't know, it will benefit. Just 1 heaped spoon of any cooked millet. You add it to a ceramic or a mud pot. Please do not use a metal or a plastic container. And then add a glass of water, and you can also add some methi, fenugreek seeds to it, and just leave it with a glass of water overnight. You can increase this for the number of members that you have at home. So then consume this water. This is a super, super probiotic that you can have. It's really easy, simple, and these millet, they can, they will induce the good bacteria to come and sit on them. Yeah.
Shall we go to the next one?
Jowar, there's a question. Jowar,
yes?
Is better to be jowar roti for dinner for gluten-free. So jowar, again, is a summer millet, not to be consumed in winter. And like I said, it's very big process to soak, sprout, and get the sprouted jowar flour and eat early dinner. Then it is okay, but not too much. I don't know what you want us to repeat. I didn't understand. Something that they want us to repeat, you or me, I don't know.
Sita, this is regarding that Ambali, the probiotic drink. Again, once
probiotic drink.
Yeah. Okay. Very simple. Take any cooked millet you have, or some of us have only rice. So even the rice, 1 heaped tablespoon of any cooked millet, add it to a ceramic or a mud pot.
Mud pot.
You can use a glass vessel also, but not metal or plastic. Why? Because the bacteria will not come and sit on those, So use these vessels and add 1 glass of water to that and leave it overnight. You can also add about half a tablespoon of fenugreek seeds to this. And that will increase the fermentation. And this water you consume first thing in the morning. And that will improve your probiotic level. That will improve your immunity. Is that clear?
I think for Ambali also, somebody was asking which millet goes into Ambali.
Ambali can be made with ragi. It can be made with bajra also. I have never seen it being made with foxtail millet, but bajra and even with jowar. Yes, I've had jowar Ambali also. So you can have it with ragi, jowar, and bajra, but I may be, I have only limited knowledge. If you ask around in your states, in your respective states, old people, they will know. And I just want to share one thing, like a lot of people say traditionally in Punjab, so much wheat was consumed and, maybe not so much millet. Actually, even in the state of Punjab, millet cultivation was there. When the Britishers came, and they came in 1600, remember, through the East India Company, the entire agricultural production was changed to suit the British. And that is when wheat was introduced in a very large scale, because all of it would go. So that's one other trivia I wanted to add. So traditionally, all across India, millet were consumed, and maybe there are other things that can be added to the Ambali, but I know of these 3 millet. Yeah, thank you, Rakhi ji, for that She's put it on the chat. Thank you, Rakhi.
Can we now move to the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
We are
it's
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one is Ragi Mani, the dessert, the last one item of today's demo. Ragi Mani is a dessert. So Ragi is the Ragi Mani. Ragi is the only millet what we are going to use. So it is very simple one. Ragi flour. You can see the Ragi flour. We have jaggery, cardamom powder, ilachi, cashew nuts, ghee. So these are the ingredients which is going to make coconut milk. Of course, coconut milk is there. Coconut milk is enough is there. So that will give the richness to the thing, or else it becomes very damp. So now to make this, you have to heat water. Cardamom powder. Yeah. We'll add the jaggery to the water. So see that the jaggery completely dissolves, no lumps. It should be just like a jaggery water now. So heat up till such time that the jaggery. That's why we shaved the jaggery. Don't put the lumps of jaggery. Shave it so that easier it will become and faster. So much. That's good. Only 2-3 spoons. That's it. Huh? Now this ragi powder, just add little water and mix it up. If you add directly to warm water, it will form lumps. All of us must be knowing about it. So just add little water to the ragi powder and make it smooth paste. See that there are no lumps. If there are any lumps, then it will form a lump there. So to make it smooth, just add a little bit of water to that and just whisk it up so it becomes a smooth paste. Then once this jaggery is ready,
now we have to add coconut milk.
Now add the ragi mixture slowly. Keep whisking. You can see the mixture. It is slightly becoming thicker, like your brown sauce.
You can see the pouring consistency. It's already thick now.
You can see here. Now, when this is happening, take small molds like this. They can't see it.
So now you have to take small bowls. You can take any kind of bowl or clay pots. Nowadays it's in trend. And grease it with little ghee. So once you grease it, it will be easier to take out, or you can consume it in the same bowl also. Now you have to add ghee, sufficient amount of ghee in it. Little cardamom powder. And reduce the heat.
You have to fry the cashews and add it. Now I am just adding as it is to give some crunch. And you can add some on this also, on the mold where at the bottom, so that you can.
Oh my. Yeah, preferably fresh coconut milk, because the packaged one has an aluminum foil inside, which is not really good for our health. So obviously fresh coconut milk is...
Anything with Tetra Pak is not good for health.
Yes, it is not good for health.
Anything fresh is good. When it is fresh, it is only the first extract. Please don't take second extract. Only the first extract. Second extract will be very watery and this will take longer time to cook. So take the first extract of it, directly add it. You get better aroma than the packed one.
Yes. And also when we use there's a powder form of coconut milk also available in the market.
Yes, that is there.
A lot of times it is actually rancid and completely dangerous.
Yeah, that's true.
Realize. So it becomes rancid, that oil smell, you'll know that. So it's better to use fresh coconut milk. And fortunately, we have help, most of us, and it's not difficult to make coconut milk at all. And like Chef said, use only the first extraction.
First extract.
Yeah, it is.
Now you can see how it is molding.
You can see the pouring consistency. It's quite thick. You can mold it now.
Allow it to cool, then put it in the
mold.
Yes. No, in the fridge.
Yeah.
If you want them to eat from the mold itself, you can cool the mixture. Just when it is lukewarm, you can put it into a glass container. Glass mold also you can put. So you can decorate neatly and they can see it can be a see-through dish.
So here you can see one is the demolded one.
Yeah.
One is the molded one. This is demolded. This is what freshly made.
So here made yesterday, last night. So, and this one is the demolded one. So you can take it like this and it gives you a feel of like a jelly. So kids definitely, they will like it to have because it has the consistency of the jelly. You can see this. Yes. So it comes in a small piece, chunk. So kids definitely like that having.
See, the proportion has to be maintained or else it will become like a hard pudding. Then they may not relish it. It has to be like moving. It should be a jelly. Then they'll enjoy it.
Chef, anything we need to make to ensure that it doesn't become hard?
No, some people they put more of ragi. That's what makes it more thicker, and then it becomes. And don't cook. Just taste and see that you don't get the raw taste of the ragi just before taking out. Once that is done, take it out, cool it, bring it to room temperature or lukewarm temperature, mold it, cool it, and then put it in the fridge, demold it, and give it to the children.
Yeah, this is actually a sinless dessert. Really can consume this. And the ragi can be consumed both in summer and in winter.
Yeah,
This is
in winter,
millet
correct.
that can be consumed both in summer as well as winter. In summer, it cools us down. In winter, it makes our body acclimatize. There's that much coolness in our body that helps us to blend with the environment. So this is really a nutritious one, and definitely very high in calcium. And
Yeah, that's why ragi is called an all-time millet. Somebody told me it's an all-time millet. They said
it's an all-time millet, and traditionally in Kerala, Tamil Nadu cultures, this is one of the first foods given to children. Infants,
yes.
Even infants are given this, and all across South India, and even in North India, this is included in baby foods. In all baby foods, Umagaru, for you especially to know about, starting some enterprise with this baby foods, that should be one of the things that can be really definitely done with millet and nutritious. And I think in the modern times, it's very difficult for young mothers to follow these traditional recipes. But if there is a business house that's coming up with this product, I think that would be really good. So I think we've completed all the...
Let's do the slide for this and then...
Yeah. So the recipe for this.
This?
Yes, instead of coconut milk, can they also add badam milk or something to this?
Yeah, but coconut milk, the fresh coconut milk gives the good combination with the ragi, madam. Right. Almond milk gives the richness feeling. It defeats the ragi's taste.
Right. It is too overpowering.
It overpowers.
Yeah, right.
Coconut milk fresh and correct quantity. If you add more, that also will defeat the thing. Just add enough. Our prime ingredient is ragi. Sure. Second is coconut milk. Third is only ghee. Ghee also it should be a little less. Don't add too much of ghee.
Too much of ghee, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Chef. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
So I think we have answered most of the questions in the chat box, right?
Yes. I might have missed a few. Somebody has asked about kesar as topping. Chef can answer that.
Kesar for this
the saffron.
Saffron, yeah, saffron. No, you can. What you can do is flavor little bit of this ragi with kesar, put it at the bottom, and then you can do that. That also you can do. But it changes the thing. Kesar is coming. We want only ragi and little bit of coconut to that. Kesar you can do. That is all extensions of this ragi money. But actual traditional is this ragi, this thing, jaggery, and coconut milk. These three ingredients with a little bit of cardamom powder to flavor the thing. Or else ragi alone, you will feel as if you are drinking early morning. You said no, that children drink as thing that it will become like that, a morning drink. But this is a dessert. So you must have some flavoring, some richness from the ghee, and ragi as the base, and coconut milk to give you some flavor. That is what is this.
Yeah, thank you, Chef. And just
any other questions?
Somebody has asked about how easy is it for home cooks without much cooking experience to get into cooking with millets. I think it's really simple. Very simple.
I think these dishes are all very simple. We have selected a very simple one.
Very, very simple.
Very simple.
In fact, our domestic help, many of them will give you recipes.
This is what if they are elderly, they'll give you more tips also.
Yes, they'll give you more tips. Exactly.
Yes.
And they have this intuitive knowledge on when it should be consumed, when it should not be consumed.
Correct.
So, I get a lot of information from my domestic helpers. And when they go from the village, I will always ask them, what did you bring? And how are you going to consume it? So, yeah. I think we've answered. That was the only question that I had not answered. And
There's one towards the end, samak rice to be soaked and cooked while adding in potato in tikki. Should it be soaked and cooked?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
soaked and cooked. Yes.
Yes,
Soaked
only
and
soaked.
cooked and then mashed.
Yes. Thank you, chef. And
Thank you very much.
it is
Thank
so
you very much.
wonderful that you followed all the correct procedures, because
Thank
very
you very
often
much.
to increase taste, we do some shortcuts, and you didn't do any of those. And I'm so grateful. And you're one of the few people that I have met who insists on soaking. And I was just telling Priya the other day that that's one of the conditions for me to agree to, do the moderation is I want, because just for taste, or, just to show that we are also using millets, we can't just do anything. We have to follow the right procedure. Yeah, I think that's.
So on my behalf of, thank you so much, Chef Timaya, Chef Kunal, for the wonderful demonstration. And also thank you so much, Sita, for wonderful moderation. And in between adding the nutritious value and the tips, I think all our viewers were glued to the screen and coming up with so many questions and all. Thank you so much once again. And all the viewers, definitely you should enjoy all these recipes and all. But don't forget making this as a business also. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Umagaru. I think you're really an inspiration. And I'm so glad that I was able to do this for Fiki. And I'm happy that the chef was so good with his presentation. It was really a treat for me too. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you once again from Ramoji Film City. We thank all of you for giving us an opportunity to demonstrate to you, and that too on millets, which is the in thing now. Okay, we'll see you later. If you want some more dishes, we can do that for you.
Just a minute, chef. We have a virtual felicitation for you. If the IT team please play that for all of you who have participated here today and given us such a deliciously healthy session. We would also like to thank our platinum sponsor, Greenco, gold sponsor, Granules, event sponsor, Priya Foods, and branding partner, RBC Worldwide, for their support. My thanks also to Chef Timaya Garu, to Kunal, to Nirupama and Ramesh at Ramoji Film City for the coordination and technical support. We've been talking for so long now, and I'm so glad that we were able to pull off this session so beautifully. And a big shout out to the events and social media teams at Flow Hyderabad for their ready help at all times. And thank you all, audience, for joining us here today. And as Uma has been saying, do reach out to the empowerment team for any assistance you may need in the areas of incubation, mentorship, startup intelligence. Thank you so much, Ramesh. Thank you, Timaya Garu and Kunal. Thank you, Nirupama.